Good evening, everybody. This is, in fact, our 165th meeting. Go figure, huh? Wow. So it's good to have you all here tonight. I wanted to mention to you tonight, before we start, I thought you might find this interesting. I made some notes, so I'll kind of be reading from my notes. It's a friend of mine in the neighborhood that doesn't do Facebook. I suppose there are a few of you in the room that don't do Facebook or not familiar with it. You know what it is, but you don't use it. So anyway, I typed this up so that I could read this to you. Got a friend that doesn't and can't comprehend why Facebook exists. He tells me that he's trying to make friends outside of Facebook while applying the same principles. It actually worked, and I'll get to that at the end. Therefore, every day, he walks down the street, tells passersby what he has eaten, how he feels at the moment, what he's done the night before, what he will do later and with whom. He gives them pictures of his family, his dog, and himself gardening, taking things apart in the garage, watering the lawn, standing in front of landmarks, driving around town, having lunch, and doing what anybody and everybody else does every day. He also listens to their conversations and gives them a thumbs up and tells them he likes them. And believe it or not, it works. Just like Facebook. He now has 4 people following him. 2 police officers, a private investigator, and a psychiatrist. So do we, you liked it. Finally, I got across to you. I've been trying for about 4 or 5 months, but I finally came up with something to laugh at. So, do we have any new visitors tonight? Who do we have? Stand up if you're a visitor here tonight. All righty then. If you join, you get to get involved in our drawing. And tonight we have 12 door prizes and Sonny's new Cadillac, right? Oh, okay. So hopefully you'll join. It's very expensive. It's $30 a year. So if you can afford it, you might want to dive in. We have a lot of fun, that's for sure. We definitely do. How about our volunteers? Why don't you stand up? I think I'm going to quickly move on tonight to some of our people that have some awards and also some, they've won some recognition. For instance, Bob Kennedy, he has a black and white picture called Gulf Shore Sunset that's sold at the Naples Art Association's All Things Florida exhibit. Also, his black and white picture, Lower Yosemite Falls, and I've been there. That's got to be a beautiful shot. I haven't seen this one, but I'm sure it's beautiful. That won Picture of the Year recognition at the Naples Camera Club's year-end competition. Congratulations to Bob Kennedy. Cynthia Taft, her image, titled Albert at Work, was selected for the upcoming 2018 Camera USA exhibition, a national juried show at the Naples Art Association. Congratulations to Cynthia. And Mary Short won Best in Class for Black and White at the Collier County Fair. Her photo was of a water lily, so congratulations to Mary Short. I missed anybody, when we have our members' announcements, our public announcements, please do so. We want to know if you won any awards or you've been recognized for anything, so please tell us if you have. By the way, have you noticed? Okay, here we go. Stand up and tell us. We want to hear from you. You pointed at me, so stand up and tell us. What about you?
My egret angel that won end of the year a year ago is going to be published in the PSA Journal in July. Yeah. And my nest building lovers is was on the front page of the website for the Greater Denver Audubon Nature Contest. It was up for a day. So.
But for you folks that are thinking of joining the club, 3 weeks ago she couldn't take a picture. So, you like my hair? A friend of mine was telling me that I have beautiful hair. And she did. She said, you have gorgeous hair. And I told her, I said, you should see it under the lamp at night on the nightstand. On the nightstand, you should see it. Okay. We have reports from the committees tonight. No reports from the committees? No, really, come on. We've got somebody. All right, Sonny, you've got some announcements, I know.
Yeah.
All right, and then you also have an announcement, don't you?
Yeah, sure. The DPI SIG August outing, or April outing, April outing will be next Saturday, the 21st, at the 10,000 Islands National Wildlife Refuge Marsh Trail, which is located at 21004 Tamiami Trail East. This will be in the newsletter that goes out. It's US 41. It's 11 miles east of Collier Boulevard as you're going out the East Trail. And Jim Robillard will meet there in the parking lot at 7 a.m., which should be about sunrise. So that we'll get that publicized for you. The other announcement I have to make is that the DPI SIG Board of Directors is arranging to give basic digital photography presentations to the general public through the Collier County Library System. We'll keep you informed as to when these will be scheduled and what locations, which libraries they'll be at. This is a way of us giving back to the community.
Thank you, Sonny. Anybody else? Yes.
If anybody won an award, a ribbon in the DPI SIG in the last competition and wasn't here at the last meeting, I have them here. Peter Crank, Ben Karp, Joel Davidson, Maria Dallaire, Jennifer Brinkman, Diana Calleja, Evelyn Perez, and Ed Reeves. If you're here at that break, come and get it. What? Sorry.
All right, anybody else? Hands, oh, here we go. Oh, we got plenty of people. All right, good, good.
I have a DVD for Eileen Skultative. She's here. I'll give it to you. Okay.
All right, who else? Here we go.
Last year I bought a bunch of GoPro clones from China, little action cams. 1 or 2 people said they had bad batteries. I've got some extra batteries. I've got a whole bunch of accessories. We're moving into our motorhome and cleaning out the garage. So I've got all this stuff over here that was unsold last year. It's real cheap right now. Come see me if you have one. Also, for anybody that bought one of those cameras, I've learned that if you go scuba diving with it, sometimes the temperature change can cause the interior lens to fog up. And they have a cure for that. It's a little desiccant tablet, a little pad that goes into the case. So if you bought one of those cameras from me, come get a desiccant tab so that your lens won't fog up. And I've got other things. I've got head mounts. I've got scuba goggles that hold the camera. I've got straps that you can put on your dog and get your dog running through the woods. All kinds of stuff. Most of it's $5 or less. You know, suction cup things, ways to mount your camera on your bicycle. Come see me if you've got one of those. Or a GoPro. The accessories fit either GoPro products or these Chinese action cams. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Ah, I see another hand going up. Oh, 2. We got 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness gracious. We're gonna run out of time. This will take up the whole meeting. All right, here we go.
We have a couple announcements. As far as the art committee or the art show is concerned, we got an email from Hyla Crane of Marco Island Center for the Arts, and she's looking for people who would like to participate in art shows this year. But you would be in charge of contacting her and putting your pictures up. We wouldn't be doing it as a club show. Okay, so if you're interested, contact Hyla at the Marco Island Center for the Arts. The next thing we have going on, the pickleball people are back. And they'll be starting next week. Wait a minute, we give you the 22nd. And I was talking to the lady in charge, Chris Yvonne, and she said that she'd like to have one photographer a day go around and get pictures of the players. Not on the main court though, she kind of like wants us to stay off the main court, just of all the smaller courts. And so if you're somebody that's interested in helping photograph the pickleball tournaments, there is a free voucher included in on this, and we will be putting the pictures up on SmugMug, and I figured out how to get it so they can actually find the pictures this year. So maybe we'll have better sales, and you'll get a percentage of the sales. So it's something to think about, and it's a lot of fun, and it's just, you know, you don't have to be there that long because she only wants like the best of your 50 pictures. Okay? Thank you.
All right, who's next? Two more hands. Oh, boy. Okay. Just remember, don't turn your back to the camera. Can I sneak through here? Thank you. All right, here we go.
If anybody entered the first print competition, please pick up your prints over there. I do not want to take them home. Thank you. Also, I have a nice collection of ribbons from several times ago. So if anyone's missing a ribbon, please see me at the break or at the end.
I just happened to be one of the winners at the Collier County Fair also. I had Best of the Color Division.
Well, wonderful.
Congratulations. Anybody else? Any other announcements? All right, well, before we move on, when I was a kid, I was kind of a hellion, fast driver, no seat belts, dangerous as it could be, you know. But I was born in 1908, so I drove as fast as I could. Anyway, I was headed from Chicago down to southern Illinois to see my girlfriend, and it was a two-lane highway going south. And there was a fellow beside me, and he picked up a little speed, so I did, and then he picked up more speed than I did. And pretty soon we were going a little over 100 miles an hour. And a cop stopped us, of course. He was there. So we pulled over, and he came up to my car, and he said, I've been waiting for you all day. And I said, I got here as fast as I could. You're laughing. Okay. That's good. You're laughing. I like that. Okay. Public announcements are finished. Members in the news we've got. So it is time for the illustrious and famous Richard Tyndall on all competition for improve your photography. Or kill you first.
Gear, I am so excited. First, we are in the midst of a competition. You need to enter it. If you don't enter it, you can't win. Duh. Now let's see. Can photo competitions help improve your photography? This is going to be a long talk. Duh. Of course it can. Come on, folk. This is not a hard one. Which button do I push? Click to the next slide. This way. Ah. It really depends on what you think you want to do and how good you think you are and how you want to compete. But you know, there's no excuse for snapshots anymore, especially once you belong to the club. How many of you remember buying film? That old, huh? And how many remember going in the middle of the parking lot and dropping it off at the Photomat booth? And then they gave you back this package, and you looked at it and said, oh my God, in heaven? and decided to find a new hobby really quickly. Well, things have changed a little bit, and we have some chances and we have some techniques that we can use to make that better. And one of the places to hone those skills, to learn that stuff, is participating in club competitions. Now, I have heard, as each of you have, is that you can't win in a club competition because it's rigged. Well, there's an awful lot of clubs out there and an awful lot of rigging. You've got to be able to find one that likes what you got. I know others that go, my work is so superb, you cannot possibly judge it. Boulder Dash. When I was at university, and some of you probably went through this too, there was a whole bunch of people who said, I'm an artiste, you can't judge me. My daughter tried that. My response was, too late, babe. Too late. Taking what's a good photograph, first off, means you have to decide what's good. Anybody have any idea what's a good photograph? Can I get somebody to help on this? What's a good photograph? Yeah.
I like a photograph that tells a story.
A photograph that tells a story. I like it. This one tells a story. What's the story? Watch out, the balloon's going to fall? Tells a story. What else? What else makes a good photograph? Yes, ma'am.
Impact.
Impact. We're going to talk about impact tonight. What is impact?
Wow.
Wow. Means you want to stop and look at it. Were any of you guilty of having slide carousels? I had two. I had them rigged up on a delay device. So I could hit you with two at once and fade in and out. You couldn't escape. 5 hours of my candid shots from my trip to the swamp. Oh, were those hellacious. If you went through them, you deserved a medal. We have a chance to capture and to share and have some idea how to make it. What else makes a good photograph? Impact? Composition. Composition. And what is composition? It's a plan for order. It's something by design. It means not by accident. Normally, a photograph is better if it wasn't a mistake. We used to call them happy accidents, unless, of course, you call them children. And then we moved on from there. So the question comes down is, why do you take a photograph? Big one. I was here or there or, oh, Mom, I made it. Second, the place looked like this. How many of you taken that picture? The place looked like that. The weather looked like this. It had a blue sky with white fluffy things. My daughter's in Hawaii right now. I got back her photographs. Blue water, blue sky, white puffy things. This is inspired. She's not learned anything. I was with these people, no kidding. I have evidence. They can subpoena me. I can prove that I was there. And I want a ribbon, or I want a like, or I want a thumbs up, or whatever else is going on. So who are we? Why do we take pictures? What do we want to do with them? How many of them want to live in the ether forever? Really like that digital stuff? They can bury my hard drives with me? Do we want to inform or share or record, or do we want to try and move the viewer? What is our intent? Big thing I'm going to try and press off is that we should take our pictures with intent. We should have a reason for why we're doing it. If you have a reason, it's easier to make this successful. If you say, I don't know, guess what? It's going to be really hard to move someone. So there's always two people in every picture, the photographer and the viewer. Something we have to always keep in mind. We take pictures for us. We decide what they are, and then we're going to subject somebody else for it, to it. Or it's just another, well, another dream. So this is a journey we're on. We're not going to say we're done. People who win a contest haven't finished their photographic career. Are you done yet? No, I'm not done yet. So we're on a process. We're on a path. And there is not a finish point. As long as you can take a picture, you can learn something, you can continue to go. And how many of you still believe in the fantasy of perfection, right? Yeah, well, I have a therapist you can go to. Perfection is a lie. It does not exist. It does not exist. You can't do it. So a competition will teach you almost immediately that you ain't perfect. Nobody I know enters a contest thinking, oh, this is a real loser. Now, after I put it in, I'm usually aware that it was a real loser. But when I put it in, I thought it wasn't. So it's a point of optimism there. And of course, the other thing to remember as we're doing this competition stuff is this is supposed to be a hobby. This is supposed to be fun. Are we having fun? Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Lots of places you could be. You could be watching pickleball. Now, there's a downside to entering competitions because most of us are going to lose. And guess what? Losing still isn't fun. That was the whole thing about being a good sport. Remember that? Yeah, show character. You can lose with your head up. Boy, that really sucks. So you have to put in effort. You have to study. You have to realize first that every competition you're involved in has its own personality. We do competitions here, down the street they do competitions, up the road they do competitions, and each of those groups has a different makeup about it. Does that make sense? Each has a different flavor. And if you get involved with any of the national competitions, each one appeals to a certain group. I would not enter any of my pictures in street photography because I really don't do it well, because I really don't like it. That's not a good place for me to enter. There's a few of those, and as you're choosing what your venue is going to be, you need to think about that a little bit. So what do we do with a competition? Well, mostly we're going to try and motivate you to get off your behinds and go take some pictures. How many of you took a photograph today? That's actually better than I thought we were going to do. Take a picture. Get off your duff. Do something with it, and then, to complete the circle, show it to somebody. I have more pictures on my computer than I want you to know about. Actually, I like you enough that I won't show them to you. They don't do anybody any good there. The other day, I got a trunk full of my mother's photographs. Actually, it's a cedar chest full of photographs going back to, I want to say about 38 or 39. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all these photographs. But there are moments and memories and people captured there that have caused me to at least reflect on what her life was like. All kinds of things I didn't know about. Probably some things that I better not know about. So, big problem. Don't get hung up on, is it art? Is it art? Everybody who pretends they're an artist has their own definition as to what art is. So let's not worry about that. Don't hide behind, I am an artiste. That's a cop-out. It's kind of an adolescent rage. We're just photographers, we're just people on our way. By the way, if you got one of, down here. Does this make you a photographer?
Yes.
Yes, it does. It makes you a photographer. Does it take good pictures? For Facebook, it takes great pictures. You know? This is probably the most democratic of all the art forms. And right now, it's gotten to be reasonably inexpensive until you actually get into it, and then, how much is that lens over there? I've had cars that cost less than that. Actually, I've had most of my cars cost less than that. History is your judge. History is who you should look to as to what makes a good photograph. Anybody here listen to classical music? Right? Classical music is really great. Nothing but good stuff. And you know why that is? All the bad stuff got forgotten. How many have heard songs about little fish swimming over the dam? Thankfully, that's not around anymore. My father used to tell me about a song that, "Open the door, Richard. Open the door, Richard." Thank God I haven't heard that any more than that. Things that are good tend to last. Things that are really terrible tend not to. I have forgotten most of the cafeteria meals I had in school. How about you? Almost all of them, thank God. So, if we want to see what's a good photograph, if we want to see what's good technique, if we want to see how to practice our art, then we should look at history. And we've got lots of it. How long have they been taking pictures? About 250 years? Quite a while. Quite a while. Gear is good. I love gear. I can talk to gear with all my buds because there's no emotional attachment to gear. I mean, if you're dumb enough to shoot Canon, all I can do is But the problem is that gear has no soul. Gear does not reflect anything about you, except probably what was the first camera that you bought when you were old enough to buy a real camera. That's all. Canons and Nikons and those other people take marvelous photographs. But it's not the box, right? My Instamatic, if I could get the shutter to work, probably would still take great photographs. Because it's not the camera. It's the photographer. Vision is better. David is a photographer out of Canada who is very big on teaching vision. I've taken some of his courses. I don't like his work. But he talks about how to say something with your camera. We can learn from people whose work we don't like. We can learn from people who have things to say other than what we have to say. Because part of the problem here is deciding that we have something to say, right? Not just making noise, but something to say. David is one of those people who says entering a photo contest is a waste of time. And if I'd been a professional photographer for 30 years and made enough money to do what he does, I would probably think so too. But for you and me, it's a chance to look at what other people do and compare how we're doing with them. So we've talked about sympathetic. We've talked about winning because winning is really great. But the process here is that this is an educational experience. You're supposed to learn something along the way. And if you learn it, then you can incorporate it. And if you can incorporate it, then you get better. And if you get better enough times, you'll win. Now, there are some people who have figured out what the judges want. They are in sympathy with what the judges are looking for. And they tend to win a lot. Does that make them bad photographers? No. It makes them actually pretty good photographers. And it's choosing the right contest. By the way, this talk is not how to win contests. That's another talk. You get to pay for that one, right? So what is the takeaway here? Don't settle for snapshots. You don't have to. What's a snapshot? What is a snapshot? It's a happy accident. Something caught your attention and you pulled the trigger, you pushed the button on your camera. A photograph generally means you at least thought about it for a millisecond. Had some desire as to what you're going to do. And a competition will help you differentiate the two. So, every competition tends to have three main factors that it deals with. And the first we talked about earlier, and that was impact. Impact is the strongest of all of the features in a competition. It's also the strongest of the features when somebody else is looking at your pictures. If they go, oh, you've made an impact. You've gotten through the fog. You need to do that with the judges too. So part of the problem is deciding what do people want to look at. The next problem is how is it composed? Is there any logic to it? Or did it simply happen by accident? And the third is technical abilities. And if you mess up on technical abilities, you need to buy a new camera. Because the new cameras that we all have are darn near technically perfect. Right? They do white balance, they do exposure, they even forward the film for you each time you push the button. They do everything. Except make the bed. Talking about that. So impact is the wow factor. It's what grabs our eye. If you're looking through a magazine, it's the one that makes you stop and glance at whether or not you're going to read the story. That's why advertisers use photographs in their ads. It's to catch your attention. Is it great art? Almost never. Is it a great photograph? You got paid for it, so yeah, but not really. Not on the level that we're working. It caught your attention. That's what it's supposed to do. If you catch someone's attention, you have the opportunity to tell your story. If I tell you my story, you get to know something about me. And then I've been successful as a photographer. I have shared and I've connected with another human being, which my computer isn't. I wish, but maybe with the AI it'll be better, right? I'll have a new best friend. That was not good. That picture has impact. I'm very proud of it. I was colder than the fringes of whatever when I took that picture. It was earlier than, well, I won't even tell you how early it was. But definitely against my religion. Anytime I get up before God does it, I am not a happy. But people look at that and they connect on some level. And why do they connect? Well, it's different. Someplace that they haven't been. I was there. That works well. It was pretty. The weather was cold and the sky was beautiful. The sun was coming up. It tells a story. Any story you want it to be. Of course, if you're a closet druid, it might be a very different story. The wow factor. It's hard to have a wow factor if the audience can't figure out what you took a picture of. That one's a wow because you can figure out I took a picture of something. The sun, the sky, maybe them stones. But there was something there and you could identify it. It is harder yet when the photographer doesn't know what they're taking a picture of. How many of you have taken pictures out in the Everglades or in the woods? What? My woods pictures are just marvelous. They look like woods. A place just longing for a forest fire. Too much going on, no ready identification. So, questions you need to ask, and if you're going to be successful in competitions, need to know is, what did I take a picture of? And why? Why? All right, that's a reasonably good picture. I mean, it's a nice picture of a fountain. Or maybe it was the hat I was extreme. Oh, it was probably the girl. So, there's a subject there. Is that subject more direct? Same girl, same hat, different day. So, you know here definitely what I took a picture of. I think that makes it a better photograph. So, everybody likes lists. So here's a laundry list. In photography, we're learning a different language. Most of us speak English reasonably well. How many of you know a second language? third language, a fourth. I hate you. I barely got through my second language to get out of school. Good Lord Almighty. Photography is a language. It's a visual language, it's an artistic language, but it's a language that we're learning that we can speak to others to communicate with. So are there tricks? Of course there are tricks. Keep it simple. Complex things tend to confuse people. Fill the frame. In today's day and age, slow down. If you're a run and gun kind of photographer, spend a year with a tripod. That will slow you down. That will, of course, you may have to get out a new hobby. Be present in the here and now. How many of us are walking along and say, oh, take a picture, and we took a picture. It was a side thought, right? When I'm taking a picture of the grandkids, I really would wish I was almost anywhere else. I'm not in the here and now. If you're in the here and now with kids, you're down on the ground with the kids, right? If you're here and now, you're having a human reaction with somebody, and there's a chance you might be able to capture that. There's a chance you might be able to share it. Take a chance. Take a picture of something that's outside of your comfort zone. Try looking at it from a different position. I'm a real big fan of pictures taken at 4'6", 5'6", anywhere up in here. That much bending is probably against my religion. If you change your point of view, if you see something that you could share other than where people normally see it, you could get their interest because it's something new. Learn the rules. Learn the bloody rules. Once you've learned them, you can break them, or you can bend them. I'm a landscape architect, and there's a wonderful story about a Japanese master landscaper who was teaching at Harvard. And he had the graduate students around him, and they were looking at one of his works, and one of the students said, "Sir, I'm really surprised that you have 2 trees on either side of the building in your composition." And the master said, "Why is that?" And the student said, "Well, in our country, we're taught that we should always do trees in odd numbers, in groups of 3, because that's something that we don't see, and because we're made up of 2s mostly, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 noses, 1 nose, 2 nostrils. Is we tend to see things locked in that way, and when we have an odd number, it catches our attention." And the Japanese master gardener said, "That is an interesting rule, and I've never heard it before. But I promise you, I will never break it again without thinking about it." Know your audience, know who you're taking the picture to share with. Learn your equipment. See with your eyes, shoot with your heart. If it doesn't move you, it's not going to move me. And learn from the masters. So we've talked a little bit about impact. So now we can talk about composition. And composition is simply putting it all together in a pleasing way. How many of you love the rule of thirds? Boy, when I saw the rule of thirds, boy, was I a happy camper. And the rule of thirds is better than no rules, but it can get a little predictable and a little boring. It's kind of like my 3 trees thing when I was doing landscape designs. But it's a place to start. When you hear the rules, just read the word suggestion. Rules have to be obeyed, and you're usually punished if you don't. That's what a rule is. Suggestions means you have a choice. And no one's going to come by. We do not have camera police to come by and take your camera away. So they're just suggestions. So, no one ever said finding a great composition is easy. It's not. What makes it so tough is that all the world is what I call a compositional mess. Just look out the window. And you see all kinds of stuff. If I look out through here, I see all kinds of stuff. Well, there's some order, and my mind will look for the order. That's what we do. The human animal likes order, like to see where things are. It makes us comfortable. So we got these things. Everybody see them? All right, we're done with those. The order that you see and the composition you see really depends on your background, your education, and your experience. None of us come into this with a blank canvas. All of us have seen all kinds of images, right? Since all of us were really, really small. Anybody here before cave painting? No, I didn't think so. We have all seen images. We have all heard stories. We have all heard music. We have all talked to people. We have all had hearts broken, and in fact, broken hearts as well. We bring all of that to every picture we see. If you've seen enough of this kind of stuff, there is order in this picture. If you're a judge who's had a bad night, there is no order. There is the semblance of this order on a hill in Scotland. There's more order here. That order makes it easier for you to see it. Makes it easier for you to maybe relate to what I was thinking about when I shot it. And this is a road going into the Everglades. Tells you all you need to know about how I feel about the Everglades. It's a kind of order, it's a perspective, it's a kind of way to do a design. Not one of my favorite pieces. I actually got paid for this one, which makes it really harder to swallow. There are lots of ways to provide order. Look at an art book. Any one of them will work just fine. If you've got a lot of time in your hands, look it up on YouTube. There are lots and lots and lots and lots of YouTubes on composition. But we've got some other tricks on the side. We know how the human eye is wired. And we can use that to help people see our photographs the way we want to see. So it works in a predictable sequence. It first goes to patterns that it recognizes. How many of you have been told that in a picture of an animal, you want to have the eyes be sharp? Boy, that's like the kiss of death if you don't. No sharp eyes, no picture, throw it away. That's because we recognize the eyes and we relate to the eyes, and we have all been ingrained that that is the mirror of the soul, whether there is a soul or not. So, we see the eye and we recognize it. If we see a human being in a photograph, what do we look at? The bloody human being. Because we're trained and wired to see them. If we see letters or numbers or words in a picture, they get our attention immediately. You want a death kiss in a landscape? Photograph a sign and then print it backwards. Yeah. We go from light to dark, high contrast to low contrast, sharp to blurry, and from in focus to out of focus. That's how we look at things. That's how we see them at night. That's how we survived in the wherever it is we came from. We got to see those things. We can use that. We can help people see the photograph that we wanted to make. Most photographs that are successful look amazingly simple. Like there couldn't be anything else. Is that true? How many of you take a picture of the whole family clan? You know, 2 or 3 sets of children, a couple of old folk, and a bunch of rugrats. Oh God, is that a valiant day waiting to happen? The best picture is the one that looks like the kids are having a marvelous time and everybody's happy. which is the one reason to learn Photoshop, because you can make these happen now. We value those because it's part of the fantasy we've been taught that art is everywhere. It ain't. Most of the world is a mess. I was taught to believe that people are basically good and honest and honorable until you get about 2 feet away from them, and then that changes. And our last main thing that every photographic contest deals with is technical ability. He's looking at his watch. Am I out of time already? I don't know either, then. I must not be. This thing is a tool. It's a light gathering and recording apparatus. That's all it is. That's all it is. If you have to spend your time looking at it, it's like getting out the owner's manual to change gears while you're driving. It's doable, but not terribly effective. So you need to spend some time learning how to take a picture with whatever device you've got. And they all will do a good job. They all will do a better job than most of you can do with a sketch pad. Any argument there? That's why people who can't draw take pictures. Learn some piece of software. I don't care which one it is. A digital photograph is a series of ones and zeros on a piece of plastic. That's all it is. And if you're into film, all it is some chemicals on a piece of cellophane. Until you do something with it, it is nothing. It is not even like the dream that you woke up with and tried to capture. You have to do something with it. Well, my camera does that for me. Then go back to the photomat. Back to the photomat. And if you're going to get good, you need to practice, and you need to practice, and you need to practice. The sage advice is you should go out and shoot every day. How many of you can pull that off? Me either. Actually, I don't even want to do that. But if you want to get really good, you shoot every day. It's kind of like breathing or eating. I mean, I'm really good at that. I eat every day. Shoot every day. But practice does not make perfect. That's a lie we were told when somebody wanted us to learn how to play the piano. Perfect practice makes perfect. And that means practicing with some discipline. And with the photographs that you take, it means somebody has to see them. And now I've forgotten his name, but he said, you know, your first 10,000 images are your worst. And that's back when you only could take them one at a time. That works out to about 473 rolls of film that you had to shoot and had to sweat over because they cost money that you didn't have. If we push our shutter down and hold it on multiple exposures, you don't get that number faster. That doesn't count. How many of you heard that you need to spend 10,000 hours to learn a skill? 10,000 hours is about 5 years of full-time work. If you worked on taking pictures full-time for 5 years, you would be really good. Because it takes 1/100th of a second to take a picture, right? That's what we're dealing with. A lot of what you're going to do is just learning how to step. I have a grandson now who has just learned to walk. Every step that's more than 5 without him falling down is really a success. I've been told that at one time I was like that. And that if I'm lucky, one day I'll be that way again. But right now, it doesn't seem so great. So you need to take a lot of pictures. You need to take a lot of pictures that try and say something. If you're not trying to say something, I can't hear what it is you're saying. It's just gobbledygook. So Alistair's quote there, it's simply a light harvesting machine. It has no soul. If you want soul, you have to provide it. If you don't have a soul, your pictures will show it. You get to provide the soul. I think that's a sold picture. And it wasn't taken by accident, was it? I have no idea how many times she shot it, but I'm willing to guess a bunch. So we're all unique. We all see the world slightly differently. When you spot something to photograph, ask a question. Find out what it is about the scene that inspires you to waste the film. Back when it cost us 75 cents or $1.25 or whatever it was to take a picture, most of us stopped for a second and said, do I really want another picture of? Right? And if we didn't, we spent an awful lot of money at the photomat going, I'll never do this again. Determine the mood. Identify what is the subject in the scene. If that's not the important one, pick out the next subject and make that subject something else. Try and find new and fresh angles. It's your shutter speed that imparts mood. Don't be afraid to take risks. And once you learn the basic tenets of how to take a photograph, you take the photograph for you. Right? So you remember when you used to draw the picture for mommy to put it on the refrigerator, or somebody drew it for you to put on the refrigerator? But eventually the art you hang on your walls is the art that you like. And that happens with your photography as well. So it's got to say something. Does that say something? It does. Part of the reason why none of us really are going to be successful landscape photographers, because he did it all. You know, he took all the shots and all we can do is play catch up. But it says something. And that's why his pictures are successful. How many of you have seen any of Adam's commercial work? The stuff that he did for a living. It sucks. Well, I think it sucks. It looks like stuff I could take. But when he was practicing his art, his soul went into the picture. So, if you're taking head and shoulder pictures of people to get their passports or get their driver's license, how much art do you put into that photograph? Nigh on to none. Now, of the 4,000 or 5,000 pictures I have of grandchildren, I'm going to get 2 or 3 out of it that are pretty decent, that show something that they'll be proud and happy about later. If you're just taking record pictures, the picture on the hovercraft can do that for you. If you're going to bring art to what you're going to do, you have to give something of yourself. If you give something of yourself, it'll come out. This picture tells us more than a lady and 2 kids. Yes? It imparts more information than just is involved with this portrait. And that's a successful photograph. And because almost any photograph can get a reaction, you have to have a reaction first. Isn't that marvelous? Just marvelous. I think he would probably win an award. So you take the pictures to see how you're doing, and as you're raising through the ranks of whatever group you belong to, the fact that you don't get a ribbon doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't negate the experience. After you get a certain amount of them, the next one doesn't really matter much. It's always nice to get it. Always nice to get it. But it's not a life or death issue. It's just a chance to try something else. And I'm going to encourage you all to do that. So, takeaways. Study the masters. If you don't know who the masters are, go online or ask somebody. Ask somebody here whose work you like, who they like. Learn what they do. Look at them. Stand on the shoulders of giants. There have been people taking magnificent photographs for a long time. And you can see them. There are so many collections online that you can look at for free. There are books in the library. There are collections of people's work that they feel like they're brand new when you go to the library to look at them. A whole collection of 560 shots of somebody. Well, if you look at them, I'll bet there's something there you can learn about. Make a list, visit the library, go to an exhibition. Hell, go to Clyde Butcher's gallery and look at his stuff. It's there. You can get really, really close to it. Sit in on the judging. Go to a competition and sit in while the work is being judged if you can. Judges talk. And as they talk, you'll learn something about what they're seeing. And it may not be what you're seeing. And by the way, if they had a really good day, they probably will like it better. If they had a really bad day, they probably won't like it as well. So if you don't win this time and you think it's a really, really, really good picture, submit it again. You know? It's more than just taste, but it's still human beings doing the work. So, will photo competitions help improve your work? Only if you let them. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Well, this evening, I'd like to get a show of hands of all of us that are going to go to the after meeting little dinner and drinks that we usually do every month. Tonight we're going to Le Café de Baguette, which is more commonly known as Chili's. So can we see a show of hands of how many people are going? I'm going. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like about 12 to 15. So we'll give a call during the break and we'll tell them to hold a table for, say, 15 people. How's that sound? Good? Okay. I had thought about inviting all of you to my house this evening, and I was out looking at turkeys at Publix on the way here, and the frozen turkeys were so small. I said to this clerk, the young kid working there, I said, do these turkeys get any bigger? And he looked at me stunned, and he said, sir, they're dead. All right, we're going to take a 20-minute break, and for those of you that are visiting, join us, $30 a year, so join us and we'll see you in 20 minutes. All right, everybody, settle down, we're going to get started. Quiet down, we're going to get started. You're not listening to me. All right, here we go. Listen up. We're going to switch things up a little bit here on the second half. Jeff is not feeling well this evening. He's got bronchitis, and he was kind enough to come just to do the slideshow. So originally our program was going to start with Mary Short now and then do the slideshow. But so that Jeff can do the slideshow for us and then get on home and rest, we're going to do the slideshow now, and then we'll invite Mary Short up after the slideshow. So we'll get started very quickly here with that. Really enjoyed that. Next month's theme for May is sticks, stones, and rocks, just so you know. All right, now we're going to invite to the podium the ever famous Mary Short. Where are you, Mary? Come on up. And Mary Short.
These are the first print competition winners. Coming up shortly. Want to get the lights, please? We'll start with the advanced class. And remember, they changed stipulations for scoring of ribbons. So blue ribbons are much harder to get than they used to be. They've divided it into 4 different levels now. Blue ribbons are very hard to get, and our club got a bunch. Yeah. Blue Family Squabble, Ed Cohen. Blue ribbon. Bright Eyes, Susan Christensen, blue ribbon. See the Light, Susan Christensen, blue ribbon. I see a theme here. So Many Insects, So Little Time, Jim Robillard. Brilliant Tranquility, Ed Cohen won a red ribbon. African Sunrise, I don't know how to pronounce that national park. Dennis Holt won a red ribbon. Big Cypress Sunrise, Jim Robillard scored a red ribbon. Under the Arches, Susan Christensen, red ribbon. Don King Got Nothing on Me, Jim Robillard. It's probably hard to see, but there is a white ribbon there. That's the new level, is the white ribbon. Jelly Ballet Cabriolet, Christine Cook, white ribbon. Skyward Gaze, Jim Robillard, white ribbon. Wave Riding Trio, Jennifer Brinkman, white ribbon. This artist did not title his print, but Yaroslav Sopka won a yellow ribbon. Sun-Kissed Rock, Jennifer Brinkman, yellow ribbon. Vaulted Grace, Christine Cook, yellow ribbon. And in the beginner class we had a winner. Evil Prince, Dave McFarland won a yellow ribbon. In the creative category, Patriarch, Jennifer Brinkman scored a blue ribbon. Sweet Majesty, Christine Cook won a yellow ribbon. In the documentary category, Village Smithy, Cynthia Taft, blue ribbon. In the mono category, Having a Smoke, Christine Cook scored a yellow ribbon. Our next print competition is starts May 1st. but the pickup time will be our next May meeting, which will be the second Thursday. The entry is open until the 28th, but I'm collecting prints at the meeting, so they'll be collected May 10th. So make an effort to get them here, either with you or with someone else. And the next digital competition is coming up July 1st, so just keep that in mind on your radar. And the evolution of photography. 12 exposures, 6 are awesome. 36 exposures, 6 are awesome. 2,000 plus exposures, and 6 are awesome. There you go, congratulations everybody.
We've got 2, 4, 5 new members tonight. Ann Overstall, Waldo Malin, or Milan, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Samantha Milan, Joe Avalos, and J.R. Switchgrass. So thank you for joining us. We'll move on to the drawing. First number, 8800570. Ah, we have a winner, okay. We've got 12 door prizes tonight. Next number, 8800537. 537. 8800537. Got one? There we go. All right. Grab something off the table over there. Another winner. Next one. 8800533. There you go. There's the winner. And 8800415. Hey, another winner. We'll just give them a minute to select their winnings, and then we'll move on with the numbers. In the meantime, don't forget the theme for next month is Sticks, Stones, and Rocks. Okay, next winner, 8800412. 8800412. All right, got one there. Well, 8800529. All right. Now, while they're collecting their winnings, don't forget to put the strings back in the plastic pouch, okay? I'm sure the ladies at the front table will appreciate that very, very much. So put the strings back in the plastic pouch. Okay, next winner, 8800541. 8800541. Did somebody stand up for it? All right, got it. 8800391. And don't forget, we'll see you after the meeting tonight at Cafe La Baguette, more formally known as Chili's. Next winner, 8800414. All right, here we go. We got another one. 8800406. 8800406. And it looks like we have a bingo back there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, there's two more prizes, and then it's a wrap. The big money prize is coming up. 8800572. 572. Who's got 572? Oh, we got one back there. All right. All right, this is the last ticket. So who's the lucky winner? The lucky winner on the last ticket, 8800381. All right. See you next month.